Now and again the scientists wire up meditators for the purpose of studying their brainwaves to see what happens to their brainwaves when they meditate. There was one particular experiment I read about years ago. I can't remember where I read it. I don't even know if it's true or not, but it's quite a good story, so I'm going to tell it anyway. The story is that they wired up a set of Hindu yogis and a set of Zen Buddhist meditators. And once they were wired up and once they were in their meditative states, a stimulus was introduced into the situation. I can't remember what that is, but it might have been something like popping a balloon, something which would startle most of us. And that's what happened. Both the meditating Hindu yogis were startled and the Zen Buddhist monks were startled, and that showed with a spike in the brainwave pattern. And then sometime later, during the meditation, the same thing happened, the same thing occurred. There was the popping of a balloon or some surprise stimulus. And again, there was a spike in the brainwave reading from the meditators. Although with the Hindu yogis, it wasn't so big. The spike was smaller, whereas for the Zen Buddhist meditators, the spike was exactly the same size. And this same procedure happened several times, until the Hindu yogis did not respond at all. Their brainwave patterns remained nice and steady, whereas the Zen Buddhist monks were shocked anew each time, as if they were hearing it for the first time. They weren't learning from their experience. So it's quite an interesting experiment, isn't it? And I'd like to ask you something here. Which set of monks are you more impressed by? Which set of meditators are you more inspired by? I think most of us would feel more impressed by the Hindu yogic meditators. They've taken control of the situation. They've decided they're not going to be detracted from their main focus. They are absorbed in their concentration. Whereas the poor Buddhists are just experiencing the same trauma over and over again. If you decide that you're more impressed by the Zen Buddhists, then I apologize, because I'm not recognizing your enlightened decision. What I would like to know is, why would most of us be inspired by the Hindu yogis? And it is because they've taken control. They've taken control of their body and mind. And this is what impresses a lot of people. This is why a lot of people are interested in spirituality, because they feel it's going to give them some control. Control of mind and body, and even give them the ability to acquire superhuman powers. This is what we associate with the Hindu yogis, isn't it? Superhuman powers. Flying through the air, being able to create a mind body. Not getting ill. All wonderful things. This is what we want. We want control. We want to be able to cut off from everything, don't we? And establish ourselves in a higher reality. This isn't anything to do with spirituality. The Zen Buddhists are the ones that are being completely open. Their ego has gone. They are experiencing everything afresh. And we're getting this distinction, this contrast between these two kinds of meditators, these two kinds of practitioners in the Yoga Vasishtha. And it comes across as a bit confused sometimes. Sometimes the liberated one is described as being like a log of wood. And we ask the question, is the liberated one inert? or insentient. The liberated one is not inert or insentient, and if we understood the nature of what the Zen Buddhist monks are undergoing, are in touch with, then the question wouldn't arise at all. Even when we describe the liberated one as equanimous, we get the idea that somehow they're impervious to the trials and tribulations of everyday life. They're not. They're completely open to it. They're not this way and that, but the tribulations of life. In a way, they're even more sensitized to it than everyday folk. The point is, though, they're established in openness. It's that openness that is imperturbable. In a way, the liberated one is one who is living life to the full, who doesn't hold back. The liberated one might appear as a very calm and centered person, or they might appear as the sort of person who has a gung-ho attitude and throws themselves into everything. They are not going to be cut off emotionally or without feeling. They experience the feeling, the emotion, with its full impact. The difference is that they're not scarred by it. They don't develop neurosis and anxieties. They don't create a personal drama out of it. A drama of martyrdom, perhaps. Why me? I'm so bereft and all this. They don't get into all that. But if they lose a loved one or something unfortunate happens, it's devastating. Their passions are unleashed. But they're like supreme navigators on the sea of those passions. They are not dominated by them, yet they are experiencing them to the full. So if you're really interested in spiritual realization, in self-inquiry, then it's openness. Openness to everything that we're going for. Like the Zen Buddhists, we're not shutting anything out. We're not getting absorbed in some delightful corner of our mind. This openness is Brahman. Brahman is everything, and all you can do is be open to everything. All you can do as spiritual practice is be open to everything. All reservations, all anxieties, all neuroses cast aside.